Good afternoon, everyone. This is Michelle Thompson, and today I have an amazing show for you. Today I have one of my personal friends. Love this woman so much. Her name is Jennifer Skomski, and she's going to be co-hosting with me today on talking about that money mindset. So let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Michelle Thompson, and today I have an absolutely special treat for you, Jennifer Skomski. I am so excited. She is a personal friend of mine and an amazing, beautiful soul. And today what we're going to be talking about is money mindset and why some of those obstacles come in our way. I mean, like, why do we have these problems? Why can't we get over it? So many of us, no matter how much money or how little money that we actually make, we still have these problems. I've known people that are millionaires or people that are making, six figures or more, and they still have these issues. Where is it coming from? Why is it here? What can we do to overcome it? And join us in this amazing episode where we're going to be talking about how to overcome that money mindset and getting past the glass ceiling that just, seems to always get in our way. Okay, so welcome everybody, Jennifer, to the stage. Hey, Jennifer.
Hey. Thank you so much for having me.
I know. I'm so excited about doing this. You are such a beautiful soul and you mean so much to me. And I've just watched you grow, just blossom into this amazing person. You guys, Jennifer was actually a client of mine, and I'm going to let her tell you her story. But first off, I just want to kind of tell you a little bit about it from my perspective. So Jennifer was a client of mine, and she had heard about me from Kimberly, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And so she decided that she's she's sort of like a, what do you call it? Like, I want to take another class, or I want to learn, or I want to hire a coach kind of junkie. Okay.
Definitely.
And so she actually started off like, I don't really know what I want to learn, but I know I want to learn from you. So it was kind of one of those things. But as we just started digging in to kind of like find out what some of those obstacles were, I think that she ended up like really gaining something that she never expected to experience. And what it's done for her is it's turned you into a very profitable young lady. And now she's actually a coach herself. She's actually certified as a cognitive behavioral therapist. I was trying to make sure I got that right. Cognitive behavioral therapist. So which is really awesome. And you kind of focus on the money mindset as well, and you use some of those techniques that you learned as a life coach to help people get into more of the right money mindset kind of thing, right?
Absolutely.
So, all right. So I'm going to kind of let you talk for a little while and like you tell your story. And I'm going to just sit back for a minute and join you in a second. But I want to hear it from your perspective. Okay.
All right. So yes, like Michelle said, I started off as a client, and I will say, I didn't really have any expectations going in other than I knew I was getting stuck and I couldn't figure out, I was doing all of the things and the grinding. So I actually am in network marketing and really, found myself, like she said, as the course junkie, the person looking for that silver bullet of like, what's getting me stuck? What's going to get me to that next highest level, not only in business, but just that next highest level version of myself. And truly came into it with a completely open mind working with Michelle, and just had zero expectations other than like, I hear she's a miracle worker and something's going on. And so we quickly discovered that there were some underlying subconscious beliefs, and I couldn't believe it. I think she had me crying the first time I worked with her. I was like, I don't even know why I wrote down these things, because this isn't the person that I look at in the mirror, right? And so that's what's really interesting once you start working with the mindset piece of things, is there's some really deep rooted things, some dark stuff that we don't even know is there. And so it really is, it's stuff that we can't pull out ourselves, because, that's why we go to a doctor or anybody else, right? It's somebody else from the outside just kind of helping get to the, like, peel back the layers and get to the root of what's going on. So I will say, working with Michelle quickly transformed my life. And not only just, in the sense of, made my business grow, taught me the first steps in manifesting, which, has blessed us over and over again, for sure. But also, from finding my true passion. And it's funny because her and I were talking, and just, now I see, the road that I'd been led down, to discovering this for myself. And it's truly turned into a passion of learning mindset and helping people that are in, or, a previous version of where I was at, is really just, you know, overcoming all of that and figuring out what their true passion is in life, and not necessarily feeling like it's this, we put ourselves in a box sometimes. And, having the idea of what we perceive as our true calling in life, and just really digging deep at a soul level and finding out what that is. And it's really, it's just completely lit me up. So if when I get to meet Michelle in person, we definitely have some big hugs coming, because she's completely changed my life, for sure.
Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry.
It's nice because you're doing it to me. So
yeah, that was really sweet. Oh my God. I think the thing for me, and I don't know how you feel about it, but, and you can jump in anytime, but this is what it does for me. This is why I do it, is this right here. This is what lights up my soul. When I see somebody literally, become somebody like you, it's like, I'm getting chills right now. Oh my God. It's like, it's like, it just lights up my soul. It makes every part of me just beam when I see this, because, and this is the reason why I got into it, is because I wanted to transform lives. That's why I call myself a transformationalist, is because I want to transform lives. And I love turning people into superstars. Like, that's like, oh man, that's like, that's my hot button, It's like when I get these people like you that do this, it's just amazing to me. I'm just so excited. And so you've been taking on some clients now,
yep.
and you've like really dove into this. And once you got all your education behind you, I'm sure it's going to be ongoing, because it was,
Oh yeah.
it still is. You and I both are education junkies. But as you started picking up these clients, and you started like, okay, now I'm listening to these people, and now I'm working with them. What do you think what seems to be the common thing that shows up? Like, what's happening for you?
There's a handful of things, and really, I saw them in myself too. And I think it's, and some of it is very primitive, ingrained in us, whether we've learned it from parents and the way we were raised in our environment, or just the things that we are telling ourselves, justifying what we do. So I hear a lot of, I love what I do, and I'm not doing it for the money. So kind of that justifying, like, I'm not where I want to be, but owning that, and kind of diminishing where they're at. So I hear that a lot, as well as, working hard for money, right? There's always that, money is an energetic exchange, and that feeling that I have to work harder for the money. And sometimes, that's unsettling for people, especially in the network marketing space, because there's a lot of energy that's put into, the day to day, doing the day to day. And if you're at X, whatever that number is, if you're at $10,000 a month, there, it feels really hard to think that I could possibly get to 20 or $30,000 a month, because energetically, where am I going to get that from? So that feeling of that, the hamster wheel of, constantly exchanging, time for money, because it's still like that 9 to 5 worker type of mentality.
Right.
And as entrepreneurs, sometimes it's hard for us to let go of some of
Well, I'm glad you actually brought this up, because this is really interesting. This has come up a lot with a lot of my clients recently. They want to go 0 to 1,000 immediately. Okay. And not that you can't, because prior to this conversation that we're having right now, before we went on air, we were talking about like something happened instantaneously.
Absolutely.
But you have to have that mental structure in place for that to happen. You can't just, so one of the things I did, like with you, and I've done with lots of my clients, is I start small and build. So you start building that confidence of, okay, you remember when we did we calculated how many clients that you needed to have to make 6 figures, and how many could you recruit a month to get to that, to blah, blah, blah. Remember all the stuff. And then we ended up saying, okay, you had to sell $250 a day and recruit, what was it? 2 or 3 people a month or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
One a week or whatever. I think it was, so we kind of did the double, a little bit of a, like we kind of like added on to it a little bit, kind of rounded up. But it was like, and so we were like, hey, can you recruit, 1 person a week? Can you sell 1 package of something a day? And these were doable things for you, because you were already established in your business. It wasn't like you were brand new, right? And so when we did that, and you were like, okay, there was a point where you're like, I'm still doing this amount every day. It's like all of a sudden you just went from, now that you realized I came up with a reasonable expectation, and you started doing that. Then once you started seeing it consistently, then we upped the ante.
Yeah.
And then we upped the ante, and then we upped the ante, and then we upped the ante, until we got to what? $1 million?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. It was like, right. So what I find is, and you can chime in anytime you want, but this is what I find, is that people set these unreasonable goals and they can't reach them, because I see it as like climbing a mountain.
Right.
And so like what a lot of times I'll do is I'll put a picture of this. Hold on a second, I'll show you. I'll put that up, and then I'll take them off of the screen. Okay. And I'll tell them to go ahead and look at that. And you have to climb that mountain. How do you feel about that? And they're like, no fucking way. And I'm like,
and that's what it does on a deep level, that, I mean, you put that big goal out there, and your subconscious mind is like, it's just too much, that it
right. You don't even know how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get there? Oh, well, other people have done it. I've seen this person do it. Jennifer's doing it. Michelle's doing it. Kimberly's doing it. Alicia's doing it. All these people are doing it. And they're like, why? Oh, there's something wrong with me. I can't do it. I don't, because it's so overwhelming.
Right.
And really the bottom line is, to climb that mountain, all you have to do is take one step at a time. And I've done this visualization. I'm actually got a podcast that I'm about to air on this particular thing, where I actually took a client up the mountain in a visualization, and kind of talked to her how to do get past the overwhelming thing. But it really is like, if you just take one step at a time, and you just focus on just walking the path, and then it gets a
Right.
little steep, and then you walk that, and then you kind of come into a few challenges, and at that point you need some help. So you have to have a coach, and
Yep.
then, and then you get over that part, and then you have to actually have somebody supporting you through this. So a support system, because they can't climb those ropes and all that stuff without having somebody, there's a lot involved, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
people don't realize that if you're focusing so far like ahead, you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
that's it. It's the incremental steps, and it's also showing your mind that it's possible, because our subconscious mind is made to keep us safe, and
Mhm.
safe equals stuck. I mean,
Mhm.
it truly is, because its sole purpose is to keep us alive. And
Mhm.
if you step too far out of that comfort zone, and you step too far out of like safety, that unknown, good, bad, or whatever that safety net is, it still knows. It still knows that you can live there. And
Mhm.
the not knowing of the unknown is scarier, and that equals death in,
Mhm.
in your brain. And so if you're trying
It
to go to
does,
A to
right.
B, you just can't do it. So you've got to
Well,
take those
I
incrementals.
I'll tell you a little story about what happened with me. I had a money mindset issue, and I didn't really realize it because I covered it with spirituality.
Hmm. A
Okay.
lot of spiritual coaches do that.
Mhm.
Because
Right, I did.
they're here to
And it was
serve.
like, it doesn't matter as long as you're happy. I don't
Hmm.
really need a lot. I'm okay with that. But I was telling the universe that too. And
Right.
I also believe that the world needed healing, and that there were people that couldn't afford it. So I needed to make sure that my prices were low so that everyone could afford it. And I was working like crazy, like
Burning yourself
nonstop all
out.
the time just to survive.
Right.
I was booked solid, but you know, I was in survival mode. I mean,
Right.
like, where do I find another? I gotta, okay, I'll work an extra hour. Now I'm working till 8 o'clock at night. Now I'm working till 9 o'clock at night. Now I'm working till 10 o'clock at night. Now I'm starting at 10. Now I'm starting at 9. Now I'm starting at 8. And it was like, now I'm working on weekends. And,
Right.
you know, and it's like, I don't have any more space to put people, but yet I can't pay my bills, you know?
Right. Oh
And
yeah, it is. It's funny because I see that a lot, and it is. It's that mindset of wanting to help everybody, and the time exchange, but really the type of clients you're bringing in too. I mean, truly,
right. So that's a
had I
whole nother
not known
subject.
and
That's a
heard how
whole other
amazing you
subject that
were.
we need to address. But hold on to that thought, because bring that right back up, because I want to finish telling you this because it's important. Okay. So with me, there was a couple of pivoting points. Okay. So I've always been real spiritual. I've always been really gifted. I've always been really good at manifesting. No brainer. Easy peasy
Mhm.
for me. Okay. But I would always have to manifest myself out of a crisis.
Yep. It's that feast or
And
famine.
mhm. And so one day my husband said to me, you seem to be able to pull magically thousands of dollars out of a hat in a whim when we
Mhm.
need it. Why not do that regularly? And we never have to worry about this issue. And I just kind of looked at him like, well, I don't need all that money, like, and it was like this weird, like, what? You don't even know what you're talking about. Like, the universe always takes care of me. I'm always fine, and I
Yeah.
had that. And it wasn't until there was a couple of things. So he was the first thing. And then one day I called a psychic. I don't, got on a kick. Every so often I do that. And I got on the kick and I called the psychic. Okay. And the psychic said, I said, I don't know. Just tell me anything. I don't care. I just, in the mood. And he's like, well, you've got some money mindset issues. And I go, oh, no, I don't. I mean, I really didn't believe that I
Mhm.
did, okay?
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, you do, and it's coming from your mom." And
Oh.
if you remember our conversation, I was
Uh-huh.
telling you that my mom was, she's always like, "Oh, it's too expensive. Oh, da, da, da. Oh, don't worry, we can't spend that money, da, da, da,"
Yeah. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
And, and then also being raised with in a very religious background, it was like, oh, money is the root of all evil kind of
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
So I didn't realize it. And so I had to kind of like sit there and absorb this. And then one day after working with Kimberly Olson,
Mhm.
and suddenly she just started flying off the wall, and she called me up for something that she needed a quick fix with. And we were talking, and I was asking her about, where everything was and how she was doing. And then she was
Yeah.
telling me something. Somehow or another, she said something about charging $500 an hour. And I went, what?
Uh-huh.
And she said, and I'm like, my client is charging more than I am. And I was just sitting there going, what the heck? And it just like hit me like a boulder.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am underestimating my own personal potential and my own personal worth.
Yeah.
And, it just like, I went, what the heck? And so I said, I'm changing this right now. And I literally had to do a little deep diving within myself to find out like what was the problem, why was I like that? And I literally had to make an agreement with myself.
Yep.
And it was like, look, you don't
This
have
is
to
it.
stress. If you have less stress, you don't have to worry about trying to manifest a lot of money and stressing out the whole
Right.
time. If you're consecutively making a certain amount of money, you can get an assistant. You don't have to work as hard. You
Yeah.
can hire more coaches. You can start training. You can do this.
Mhm.
All this money can be put back into the business. You can always have a backup plan. You always have money to pay your bills. You never have to worry about anything. And if you're less stressed, you're going to be more helpful. Like I sat there and did this whole negotiation with myself. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and once I did that, I said from that moment on, I was never going to make less than 10 grand a month.
Yeah.
And I set that as my standard. And then I raised the ante and I was like, well, it's been 10 grand a month every month. So let's do 15 grand. And
Right.
I just kept on like saying, where is my standard? Where's my value? Where's my worth? And I shifted it. So anyway, I
Yeah.
thought I would share that with you because I feel like that people need to understand that you and I, as coaches, we teach what we overcome.
Right.
You
And
know,
people don't
we're
think about it that way, as they
yeah,
really, we need to, hold ourselves as powerful and
mhm,
really own our worth, and it's hard, especially for our own selves, and that's why coaches have coaches, because, you can't, some of those beliefs are so deep rooted that you do, I
mhm.
mean, I'm proud of you for working yourself through that, but we need other people to help get it out of us sometimes too, and it's
Oh
really,
no, I have people to call. Don't question that. If I'm in a desperate situation, it's call a psychic or something.
call the psychic, right?
No, I have a spiritual teacher that is like my kind of go-to, and I have a coach
Mhm.
that is more of a she's more of a she's more like cognitive therapy kind of
Mhm.
thing. She
Yeah.
just helps me process.
Mhm.
And like if I'm going through something, I remember one time when I was going through something with my marriage, she was like, I know, Michelle, you want to blame this all on him and you want me to sit here and say, oh yeah, he's a horrible person. But we're gonna focus on you right now. And why are you even saying this? She's just like,
Oh,
that's
uh-huh.
like, what my concern is you. Oh, why are you saying this? Why are you feeling this way? Why are you? And she really
Right.
like pulled it out of me. So yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And but my rule of thumb is I don't teach something until I overcome it.
Yeah.
It has to be something I've mastered.
Absolutely.
And once I master it, then the world is my playground, baby, because I'm ready to go out there and teach you how I overcame it. All
Absolutely.
right, so let's go back to the thing I told you to hold on to because it was
Oh,
important.
yeah, so it's funny that you said that because, I truly, when I sat on that discovery call with you, I remember having my own perceived price in my head. I'm like, I know the people you've worked with. I know the transformations that you've done. So I'm already building this story in my head. And then when you told me your rate, I was like, huh. Like, had I not known those people and known the stories, I wouldn't have thought I would have gotten the transformation, because you did undervalue yourself and you didn't own your worth. And the transformation was, tenfold. So, I'm glad you raised your prices.
I know. And that was after I had came to this realization. And so I had to slowly creep that price up. And it wasn't like I could just go,
Yeah.
And I did over about a year and a half. It took me about a year and a half to get to where I feel like that I'm feel pretty good about where the price is now. But it was slowly. It was like, kind of like, okay, every few months I'm going to raise it a little bit more and raise it a little bit more. And honestly, I've actually discovered that people either, I don't know about you, and you can tell me what your thoughts are, but people either want really cheap or really expensive.
Yeah.
That's been like when I put something out there that's sort of like middle of the road, a little pricey, but not too pricey, kind of middle of the road kind of thing, I get less bites on that.
Right.
And they're like, well, tell me about your one-on-one stuff, like, and then they hear the price and like, okay, I'll get it. And I'm like, okay, so it's like Mercedes, or do I want a Chevette?
A rusted up one, broken down on the side of the road.
Well, they're probably thinking that if they like price isn't high enough, it's like it's either that or it has to be really low, like to where, because some people really just can't afford it. You know what I mean?
Right.
The Social Security or whatever it is that's going on with them that they have, But yeah, that's been my experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like every time I raise the price, they go, okay, and I raise it again, and they go, okay.
Yep.
Raise it again, and they go, okay.
And it really is a lesson for, I'm sure we've got coaches in the group and even network marketing people, but really as women, that's something that we struggle with, that we almost treat it as if it's a crime to make money for doing something that we love. It's like,
I know. It's like you feel guilty. Yeah, you feel guilty,
absolutely.
like going, it's gonna cost you.
And that's, that's really where we need to work as women, is really just making that amends and that relationship with money and holding it as energy and power and everything like that, that we really just have always been. And I think that's just part of being ingrained in us as women, and, dealing, figuring out where we can best utilize that to shine in our empowering strengths for other people. So it doesn't have to be a dirty word or, we're bad or anything like that. If you think about it, like as little babies, we're told, don't put that money in your mouth. It's dirty. It's, so as a 3-year-old, my 4-year-old doesn't think that money is like germs. She thinks it's bad. It's that ingraining that happens with us.
No, I totally agree. But so getting over that money mindset issue, what if I've personally seen is it's what we know. Okay, so we were, like I said before when we were talking off air, we were talking about, we only know what we believe, and we only believe what we experience, right? And so as long as our experiences have been, negative with money, then we start to believe that.
Right.
And
absolutely.
So what do you tell your clients when they tell you when this is going on? Like
yeah. So I really I come at it from a different perspective. Also knowing the subconscious thing, but knowing how that that subconscious, like, critter brain is constantly stuck on that hamster wheel.
Right.
And so really just work more on resetting, because I know there's a lot of, you know, I'd have to say there's a lot of work that goes into reprogramming the subconscious mind. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that I've worked with that on a cognitive level feel they've got it, right? And they
Mhm.
put in like half the effort. So
Mhm.
you don't truly really reprogram the subconscious mind. So I actually start on the conscious level,
Mhm.
and then come in the back door, because it does two things. It actually shows that subconscious like critter brain that it's safe, because you start to see incremental change, and so
Mhm.
you're teaching it that it's safe to make these changes. And
Mhm.
we're really consciously, bringing your mind to looking at it, through exercises, through rewriting your money stories. And I've got, worksheets, and we like literally track your money, because really what you focus on can't help but change because you're bringing attention to it. So it really
Right.
is just analyzing and looking at it from that side of things. So you're getting those quick wins that are showing
Mhm.
your mind that it's okay and it can happen. And then you sneak in the back door and start to reprogram the subconscious mind. So you're tricking it. So it's definitely a
Yeah.
lot of visualizations. I'm not huge on affirmations, just because,
Mhm.
sometimes when people write them, they're just too, again, far outside of the scope of what your subconscious mind
Mhm.
believes is truth anyway.
I agree.
Um,
I agree with
and
that.
you're just, yeah, so just coming at it from, kind of
Right.
a different
Well,
approach than most people do.
right. So if you remember, I don't do affirmations either. I
Mhm,
I discover your thoughts and what's internal. So we're
mhm,
digging. And then once we find something, like how is your mind thinking and what's behind that? And then we take it and dig a little further. What's behind that? What's behind that?
mhm.
And then we bring it back to the conscious mind and say, look at this. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
And you're
absolutely.
like, no.
No.
Why are you doing that? Why are you thinking that? Why this is you're acting like this is the child talking or this is that's not the adult. The adult doesn't have this problem. Let's just wipe that out. Let's go
Yeah,
straight to the present and anything that's happened as an adult from the age of this age to this age. Have you felt? I said, did you get a college education? Yes. Did you get an MBA? Yes. Did you get a really good job? Were you making good money? Yes. Did you marry somebody amazing that treats you like you're awesome? Yes. Did you raise two really wonderful kids that ended up getting a degree and became very successful? Yes. Tell me what
yeah,
you felt at. Again? Like it's we get stuck and they get trapped.
yeah,
That part. And I personally don't believe in affirmations either because affirmations are like, I feel good, I feel good, I feel good.
right,
We're going to create a statement, we better make sure that we're creating statements that has guts behind it. It has like, here's the reason why, and this is what
right,
I'm doing, and I'm doing this because of this, and I believe this because of this. It's like it's it's talking to your mind and giving it like the reasons why. Like
right.
like somebody telling me I hear I'm not a good mom a lot. So I'll say, tell me what a bad mom is, you know?
Yeah,
Um, tell me what a good mom is. Okay, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? Yes, yes, yes. Well, in my eyes, that's amazing, mom. So then I'll have them reframe it to I am a good mom because I do
yeah,
this. I think
right,
affirmations are overstated too. I
yeah.
agree with you 100%.
It's
It's
too crazy. Yeah,
it's
but
like
and that's the
seriously,
perfect way to do it.
when I actually discovered that was when this one guy, have you ever heard of Landmark?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
this one guy came to me and he had gone to Landmark and he was telling me that he had done all this stuff and everything, and I had never heard of Landmark at the time, and I was like, "Tell me about it." And but I ended up doing Landmark for him one day. Finally, I ended up doing it because I was like, "Okay, I've just heard too much about this. I gotta go do it." Um, so anyways, he was telling me that we were talking about stuff, and he's like, oh, I do these affirmations every day. And I go, what are they? And he goes, da 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 da, and he starts quoting it off. But as he's saying it, he says that and da da da, blah 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 blah. It sounded like a robot. And I go, there's no motion behind it. There's no meaning behind it. So I don't even think you believe what you're saying. And I don't even think you're listening to what you're saying. It's almost like singing a song about something that you don't even know. And I ask you, what's the song about? I don't know. You know the words.
I don't know.
You know the words, but you don't know the meaning behind it. Have you ever sat down and thought about what you're saying to yourself?
Right.
You know? And that's basically what they're doing. Is there's no emotion behind it. There's no thought. There's no there's no contemplation of, so when I work with them, I make sure that they're really processing what it is, and I help and I get them to talk me through this. Tell me what the truth really is. Are you lying to yourself? Tell me what the real truth is right now.
Exactly. And you need to stair step it because, it's telling the subconscious mind is good. However, if it's so far out of the realm of possibilities, like it just, like your mind is like, I'm calling BS. Like it's like, no, it's already tuned it out.
Well, that's because you get locked in these loops.
Yeah,
and the loops are based on a belief system that you've constructed that's outdated. It's like trying to run DOS on a PC now. It's like it's outdated programming. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's like you cannot put that kind of software on. It's not going to work. It's an outdated, or like reverse. Okay. So if I have a DOS computer and then I go try to put Windows 10 or Windows 11, I'm a Mac person, so I don't even know what the latest Windows is. Okay. We could already be to 20 for all I know. But yeah, we can put on the latest version of Windows, and the computer is not going to be able to, it had to go through the slow updates.
Upgrades.
Right?
Yeah.
It's got to go. You can't, it's going to go reject. No, they can't do it. It's not going to understand it. It's not going to comprehend. It's got to go through the learning process, and our brains are exactly the same way.
Yeah.
We have to kind of stair step it, take it a little at a time. And I like your approach of coming at it from the present and then slowly working backwards at, and kind of coming in it from the back end. I'm going to do a sneaky part.
It's like dipping your toe in the water, and it really, it gets them to get the win. So it gets the buy-in. So then you're focused on it a lot more, and it drives you to working on that subconscious mind, versus the subconscious stuff is a lot of work initially. It's amazing. And it's lasting, very quickly once you get through it. But, we've got varied levels of buy-in with people that, if you see those quick wins, because your subconscious runs 90% of our day-to-day life. I mean, it's running the ship. How can we, because we still try to process everything cognitively, how can we utilize the cognitive side of things to start rewiring those neural pathways and really, making the loop of like, oh, this is possible. And then you've got the buy-in of, I want to do the thing, Yeah,
exactly. Or that I can.
Yeah.
Pretty much the most common thing I hear is they don't believe in their ability to be able to achieve it.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody feels that way. Because how do you actually believe in something that is so far and out of your reach? I mean, you can't even see it. It's so far away. But what we can buy into is what we can see.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if you, like you said, the little wins, if you can start getting those wins and you start like, hey, right. And then eventually it's like you get a little closer and you're like, you know what? I'm starting to see that light at the end of the tunnel, and I think I can actually do it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you up the ante, and then you up the ante because that because new lights start presenting themselves, a whole new vision starts showing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And those initial goals that you had for yourself, now it's even bigger, and I
Mhm.
mean, it's grown exponentially because you're seeing that these things were possible, that getting out of that deep mind stuff, once you just get into the flow of, really helping it work with you instead of always being such a grind,
Mhm.
um, that you've got a whole new level of
Yeah,
going for
yeah.
it.
So I wanna bring up a subject
Yeah.
you love. Okay, I know this is like one of your favorite subjects, but I want to talk about it from a different angle,
Okay.
and just kind of get your thoughts on this because I have a pretty strong belief about it. But this could be my own issue. So okay, so all right, so manifesting.
Hmm.
So that's my thing. It's my jam, and I know it's yours too.
Yes.
And you're a very powerful manifester. In fact, your husband goes and tells everybody that you're magical.
Yes.
Does he still do that, by the way?
He hasn't said that in a while. Yeah, I'm definitely, and really learning, like you and I were talking about, learning my sacred money archetypes. I was just like, oh, well,
Mhm,
that makes sense as to why, once getting these mindset things out of my way, why it was so easy, because that underlying magic was always there.
mhm.
It's that
So,
that
so like,
alignment.
so that's where I wanted to go with this
Yeah.
because I personally believe, and I have made the mistake. I let somebody convince me that we needed to move into manifesting too quickly, and because they were in crisis mode
Hmm.
and they knew I was going to teach it. And they
Okay.
were literally in crisis mode. And I made the mistake. And they didn't want to ever go backwards and start working on the mindset once they started getting into the
Yeah.
phenomena, you know? But they could never really master it.
Yeah.
And the
It's
reason they couldn't really like master it was because they
mindset.
still had the mindset issues.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
right. So that's what I was going to ask you, like what your thoughts are about it, because I believe that anybody can manifest and everybody manifest. Okay,
Yeah.
we
Good
manifest
and
every
bad. I
day.
mean, we
Right,
all
good and
do
bad.
as humans.
Right, we manifest every day of our life because thoughts are energy, and energy attracts energy.
Hmm.
So based on how we frame our thoughts, um, it doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It just
Right.
means that you need to, like I give myself 24 hours if I have a bad day. Okay. I
Yeah.
also reach out to people for support, if I
Yeah.
need that, if
Hmm.
there's something, that I need to work through or talk about or something like that, then, I have my support system. I have an amazing mother and I have amazing family, and so I have a really good support system. But I personally say the way that I deal with it for myself is if something happens, I give myself 24 hours to be really upset about it.
Yeah.
And so within that 24 hours, I'll go banter to my husband, you know, and he'll just like, okay. And I'm like, are you listening? Are you listening? Oh, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Okay, say something. I'm just listening, and he'll just let me listen, let me go on and on and on. Sometimes I'll call my best friend, sometimes I'll call my mom, and then I'll go back to him, and I'm like, and then and then I'll just go, okay, I'm letting it go now,
Yep.
and it's like I got it. I'm letting it go now. I needed to just get it all out because if it
Yeah.
kept on coming up, I needed, a little bit more drama added to it.
Well, you
That's
need to give it that voice to get it, to
right,
own it, kind
right,
of it's a bless and release. It's like,
right,
I love giving yourself 24 hours. Like,
right.
own that feeling, because they're not feelings,
Yeah.
and if you don't release them, then
But you have
it's
to
still in
say,
there.
you have to release it. Like,
Yeah.
I literally say it out loud, like in
Mhm.
front of somebody. I am now letting it go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm letting it go now. I just needed to do this. I needed to put myself through this process. And I swear it works for me because
Yeah.
I don't hold on to things anymore. It doesn't creep up in my head because I verbalize it and say,
Yeah.
I'm letting it go. And I say it very firmly, like, I'm letting it
You're
go.
owning it. I mean, and that's
Um,
the declaration of like, you're drawing the line in the sand. I'm done with this.
I'm done.
We're moving on.
Exactly. I'm done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. That's how I do it. Exactly. And I kind of like, it's like energetically, it kind of feels like it's like I'm pushing it out of me.
Right.
It's almost like I'm grabbing it and throwing it away. Like that's what it feels like energetically, for me,
Yeah.
Um, it's sort of like, you know,
I love that. Yeah.
I'm done. Get it out. I'm letting it go forever. I'm not bringing this up again. I'm not, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I find that because I can be really good at suppressing stuff.
Yeah.
So, I find that if I do that, it'll start haunting me.
Yes.
So I
Absolutely.
can't do that because it'll show up as an ulcer or something.
It'll show up somewhere because that energy gets stuck. It does
Um,
get internalized and it gets stuck.
mm.
So I actually do tapping as well, to
Oh, yeah.
release some of that energy
Yeah.
because of that, because there's still some things that even though we're declaring that we're releasing it, there are things that get stuck. So I try to make that a weekly thing of just like, you don't know what's stuck.
Oh,
So
so
that
you just
definitely
do tapping just to tap?
I do sometimes. Sometimes I tap on something if I'm having,
Mhm.
if I'm having blocks or just energy that I want to shift or anything like that. But I
Mhm.
really hold that energy field now a lot more sacred than I used to,
Mhm.
and I'm really very controlling as far as who I'm letting in that energy field and
Mhm.
the bubble and the words that are used around me, and really just owning that power is
Wow, that's
definitely.
really powerful, and I think that's really an important thing that's really important. I
Yeah.
mean, the words that are used around you, you know how many people don't put up those kind of boundaries?
Yeah, and it's so easy. I mean, I take myself back to my 9 to 5 when I worked in an office, and I didn't realize it.
Mhm.
It was like one day it just hit me like a ton of bricks that, the girl on the cubicle wall on the other side of me was negative, negative, negative. And I started to find myself
Mhm.
talking more negative, but I also started to feel like this heaviness the second I would walk in the building. And it was really,
Mhm.
I mean, it took me back when I started doing all of this, took me
Mhm.
back to that. And I'm like, I just used to not only dread it, but I used to remember feeling like, oh, I complain more than I'm always, my husband will tell you the glass is, you know, 100% full with me. And it's always like the very best case scenario.
Mhm.
And so for me to be the, like negative Nelly when I would walk in, I was like, this place, the energy, like you can feel it, when you walk into a room, it either energizes you or it zaps
I
you.
don't think people realize how much energy affects people, and
Yeah.
people don't go through the process of clearing their energy in whatever
Hmm.
modality that they choose to do it. Like
Yeah.
you're doing tapping, I do, I literally work on my energy.
Hmm.
Because I've done a lot of studies and stuff
Yeah.
on the meridian field and the energy and stuff like that. So I literally like every single night when I lay myself in bed, I go
Yeah.
through this whole like purification thing of cleansing my energy and cleansing the field around me and cleansing my house and the whole like everything.
Yeah.
Um, I have found that when I don't do that, like I just fall asleep because I'm tired and I do that consecutively, the energy in the house shifts.
Yeah.
I'll start noticing
Absolutely.
he'll get kind of grumpy, you know? And I'll
Yeah.
damn it. Why do
Mhm.
I have to work on your shit all the time? You know?
I need to work on me.
No, it's just the energy,
Yeah.
it's like an energy can creep in and
Mhm.
people can pick up stuff like, just,
Yeah.
walking your dog and the people around you, or going to the stores, or, all the chaos that's in the world, and dealing with, people just in general. That
Yeah.
energy can, like, literally, I call them, it's like Pac-Man, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
and it
Absolutely.
just it like sees negative, and it just comes after it, and it just
Yeah.
is like, okay, I'm gonna, it's like having a bunch of, like, parasites on you,
Oh,
basically,
yeah.
and you gotta,
Absolutely.
like, cleanse that out. Yeah, so I personally believe in that, but,
Yeah.
kind of going back to the whole thing I was bringing up, is that if the mind isn't in the right place, so we were talking about money mindset. Now
Yeah.
I'm talking about how, if your mind is, if you want to manifest, because everybody wants to manifest, everyone wants to learn to
Mhm.
manifest, and especially if they're having financial problems, they want to learn to
Right.
manifest. I
Yeah.
personally think that the angle is to get your head in the right place.
It has to
You know?
be, because, I if your head's not in the right place, you can't I mean, you can manifest from scarcity, but you're gonna manifest more. You can't take the baggage that you have now
Mhm.
into the quantum field, or you can't take it into that next version of your life. It's not serving you, and you've gotta release that
Well, it
to
keeps on happening. It's like,
it
yeah.
is, exactly, and I mean, truly coming from that place of fear, that place of lack, you're going to unfortunately end up manifesting more of that. So,
Mhm.
manifesting, everybody thinks is magic. And I'm just sitting on my couch and I'm imagining $1 million showing up at my front porch. And it's not necessarily the case. It's manifesting is bringing things into fruition. They're bringing it into your realm right now. And the biggest thing is the inspired action that you're taking with everything, but you're coming from that place of gratitude and happiness and love, and with
Mhm.
a clear mind. And if you're coming at it like, I need money to pay my power bill, that energy is not the
No,
alignment
it
that
doesn't.
you're
It
ever
doesn't
going to
work.
have.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I do believe,
Exactly.
like we were talking, I
Mhm.
do believe in straight line manifesting, and
Mhm.
it can happen like that.
Yeah.
But, it really, it's more of
But it's like
how
all of a sudden you're
aligned
right
you
back in
are.
the same place again,
Yeah.
and that's what was happening with me, is I
Yeah.
did it,
Hmm.
okay? Like he said, magically you can pull shit out of a hat, but then we're right back in the next place next month, and so that's where I had to shift my, not only do you need to shift your mindset just in general and get over your toxic things
Yeah.
from the past, but you also need to get into a mind frame of money magic,
Yeah.
money. You can't, like, get into it's a process. It's like it's
Yeah.
mind first, then money mind, and then making money,
Hmm.
it's it's like it's a process,
It is.
I threw a few more extras in there because I wanna, like, seal up the hole and put cement in it for good,
Yeah.
you know?
You got to stop those leaks.
Yeah, we're gonna disconnect that shit, and we're not just gonna put some duct tape on it. We're gonna actually seal that stuff up, Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I like, doing, like, a lot of healing and a lot of
Hmm.
reinforcement, and, a lot of stuff like that, to kinda throw in that extra guts. But,
Yeah.
some people, you literally have to walk them through every single step,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for
and
sure.
yeah, I mean, some
And
people.
there's no shortcut, I mean,
Mhm,
and the time is gonna pass anyway, so at the end of the day, it really is, doing the hard work, and it's,
mhm.
reprogramming isn't easy, whether you go about it my way or you go about it your way, but you have to do the work to reap the rewards. We we sow to, reap. It's not, I don't plant a seed
Well,
and expect to harvest the same day. It's all
right,
the same process.
right. I think that people, what they don't realize is that our mind is a computer. Okay,
Mhm.
it's like an organic computer, and you're
Yeah.
caught in a program,
Mhm.
and the program has to be deconstructed, and
Oh, yeah.
you have to give it a reason why it needs to move and update its programming, and you have to, like, because it's an organic one, it's still still has a consciousness that's attached to it.
Yeah.
So there's those parts of, that you've got to kind of like deconstruct and
Yeah. Oh,
reconstruct,
yeah.
and detach and reattach and all this other stuff. But a lot of times I hear people saying that this is who I am, this is who I
Yeah.
am. And then they want to own a diagnosis, and that absolutely drives me crazy. And as you get into this, you'll start seeing it. Oh, I'm
Right.
ADD, or I was this, and I'm this, and I'm like, stop using that as your damn excuse. You know,
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, if you want to,
Absolutely.
well, yeah, go ahead. I'm ADD, and so are you, and so is everybody else in the whole freaking world.
Right.
It doesn't stop you from creating organization in your life, creating happiness in your life, creating,
Yeah.
put systems in place. I'm like, okay, so technically, if you were to take me to somebody, they diagnosed me as ADD too. But
Yes.
I put systems in place to manage all of that. I have a lot of systems. I've had to create a lot of systems because my mind wants to go squirrel,
Oh, yeah.
all the time. And so
Absolutely.
it's taken a lot of training to keep me on track, because I'd be like,
Mhm.
all over the
Mhm.
place. You can train that out of your brain. You can train
Absolutely.
it to learn how to focus on systems and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I absolutely believe in the process, and you do too. So that's good.
Thank you.
I like that. I like that. So there was something else I wanted to talk about. I'm trying to remember. Was there something that we said that we needed to go over? Do you remember? Did we not cover? Because I know we were talking about.
I
Hmm.
No, I
It popped up in my head a second ago, and then it flew out like a squirrel. Whoop!
I think the biggest thing is really for everybody that's catching this is really realizing how the money mindset plays into business strategy and looking at your business holistically.
Oh yeah.
um, you know, Incorporating all of this stuff. So, I mean, Michelle and I were talking a little bit about the sacred money archetypes that I do, but I do that because we all come to business and life and everything that we do a little bit differently, and figuring out how to honor what works best for the flow with you, and really what's going to work for Michelle might not work for me, and vice versa. And it really is, sometimes we see out there that the gurus and the people that we're trying to emulate, and why it's working for them and not for us is sometimes the masculine energy versus the feminine energy, and how sometimes things just feel too hard and it feels too much like a grind. And just knowing that your area of brilliance and your way to wealth or your way to business success looks a little bit different. And when you figure out how to embrace that the best for you is when you're going to truly shine. I mean, I think
No,
that's,
you're absolutely, absolutely. Everything you said is so true. But here's the thing: those gurus that you're talking about, most
Mhm.
most of them are my clients. You know what I mean?
Right,
Okay,
but
so they've been a
they
client at some point.
absolutely, but they all
Okay,
go to business a little different, and so one thing that
right,
works for one doesn't work for the other, so it's really figuring out your own personal, like, you
right,
and how
exactly.
that
I
and
actually, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so that's the thing. It doesn't matter if you hire me, you hire her, you hire
mhm,
somebody, you know, Christine Hassler, Tony Robbins, or whoever. Okay. The point is that all of those people have had a
help.
coach.
Yeah,
Yes, they have had somebody who has stepped them through this one step at a time, just like climbing the mountain,
yeah,
and has walked through the process and helped them get those small wins until they become medium wins, to get big wins, to become massive wins.
yeah, absolutely.
That's the whole key. I remembered what it was. Even like wrote it down so I wouldn't
Oh,
forget it again. I was like, see,
nice.
this is my system.
There you go.
I have systems in place when those squirrel things happen.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so we were talking about, and this is a question I'm going to ask you, what your thoughts are, is why is it that so many people are putting so much energy into spending all this money on business development and business coaching before they go into mindset? Because they it's like they're doing it backwards.
Backwards. Yeah. They
No,
would save themselves so much time and money.
I mean, I majority of my clients, like I have one client right now who told me, I'm finishing up this program. I'll be finished in at this time, and then I'm going to sign up with you. And I just signed up for this program. It's 6 months, and then I'm going to sign up with you. And I'm like, okay,
Right.
backwards, but um,
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's just bizarre. Like, what do you think? I mean, and sometimes when they have both in front of them and they have to make a choice, they always go for the business. Like, have
Because
you really,
yeah.
I saw that, and it's like they're not putting the
Yes.
value on their own self. They're putting more value on productivity or business development
Yeah.
versus self development, because you can go take all the courses in all day long, but if you don't have the right head on your shoulders to be able
Mhm.
to,
You won't get there. You
right.
you won't get there, because you can't reprogram your own mind, but
Mhm.
it really is that quick, kind of tactical thing that, essentially it's the bright, shiny object,
Mhm.
in marketing, but it really is, mindset isn't sexy. And it's something that, we don't see it in ourselves. And it's not until you've gone up against everything else and you're like nothing is working and ready to throw in the towel that I think they're to the point of like they almost go at it like I've tried everything else, like let's just
Mhm.
give it a whirl, like
Yeah.
and so that's why, so I do the business coaching, but I always, you have to start with the mindset, because if you don't
Mhm.
get that right, nothing else is going to work, because the tactic, kind of like the subconscious versus conscious mind, the tactic and the way you're doing those things, 10 to 20%, and the mindset is really the
Mhm.
80% of everything. And it just, nobody believes, because our subconscious mind is keeping us safe
Oh.
and telling us everything is okay, we don't view it that we have mindset issues, especially in the network marketing industry, because we spend so much time doing personal development and you're around all of these warm and fuzzy words that you think are penetrating, and they're not. So you're like, oh, I do all those things, I've got a great mindset. I mean, it was just like me coming to you and saying, I don't
Mhm.
know why I wrote these things on paper, but you told me to write down the first thing that came to mind. But this isn't
Mhm.
me. I mean, I said it. Those were my exact words. Like, this isn't me, and I don't know
But
why I wrote
but what it does is it acts like an obstacle,
Yeah.
and subconsciously, like,
Hmm.
you can walk around smiling all day and talking like this and feeling like this and like,
Yeah.
sunshine and lollipops, but internally there's a subconscious reaction that stops you
Yeah.
from taking the step,
Hmm.
because there's this internal belief that I'm not capable, I'm not good enough, I'm going to fail, it's impossible, it's overwhelming, it's, whatever, 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 whatever. I mean, there's like all these different things, but
Right.
I find that it always comes down to some sort of, majority of the time, majority, I'm saying majority, not all the time, but majority, it comes into the way the person was programmed as a child, the belief
Absolutely.
structures that were put into their head as a
Hmm.
child, and the toxic experiences that they've had as a
Yes.
child or a young adult.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
those things are the core of who you are. And here's the
Yeah.
beautiful thing, and this is the thing that I was watching. There's this movie that just came out called Through Magical Words on Amazon.
Oh,
Have you seen it yet?
no, not yet.
Okay, so it's a documentary. It's actually
My
really
favorite.
good. Yeah, it's really good. I was like, I haven't finished it yet, but I kind of like listen to it when I'm taking a bath. I'm just like, so it's like my little private time that I'm not watching
Nice.
like sci-fi or something with my husband. So yeah, the it's called Three Magical Words, and he was talking about I just lost my train of thought. Hold on. Oh my God. I just can't believe I did this. He was talking about people and they, and how they're, I cannot believe this happened. Help me remember. Oh my God. Is this menopause or what? What was I just saying right before this? I can't believe I did this.
You were, I got that you were listening to it and the,
Before
when you're
that.
taking a bath. Yeah.
Before that, I was saying, right before I was talking about the movie.
I know, now you're going to put me on the spot.
I was talking about people and their mindset and coming from childhood.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay, so
The programming from childhood.
Programming from childhood. Okay, well, I'm going to just start talking anyway. So the thing is that I can't remember what I was going to say about it. I was like, why is it? It's in there. It'll pop back up again. Yeah. So what happens is that as a child, you know, this, oh, I know what it was now. I remember. Okay. So he was doing this whole thing like, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And they were going through this whole thing about discovering who you are as a person. We're all trying to figure out who we are. Mm-hmm. And he did this thing where he showed this girl in the hospital and she had amnesia. Okay. And he said, he goes, you think you are this person, but you're only this person based on your experiences. Yeah. If you get amnesia and you wipe away your memories of your past, then who are you?
Yeah.
You know, what's left? Because that person is going to respond differently. Why do you like this? Because you were trained into liking it or exposed to it a lot. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, you had that warm, fuzzy feeling about it. But if you don't remember all those experiences about how daddy was doing all these, you know, he was always like singing to you these songs, you know, so now you know, as a child, so now you're like, oh, I love this kind of music. Why do you like it? Because there's warm, fuzzy feelings behind it, you know, and it's the same thing with pain and love and trauma and all that other stuff. It does the exact same thing. It's like people think that's who they are. Oh, I'm depressed. I'm clinically depressed. Or, oh, I'm ADD. Or, oh, I'm this label. Or, oh, I'm not intelligent enough. Or, oh, I've failed at everything. Or, oh, I'm not good enough. Or, you know, I want this, but I'll never get it. All of those things. And he was basically saying, it's all bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And because all it is, it's just acquired information that you've acquired.
Yeah.
From learning and life. And
powerful.
And what I said is you believe what you experience.
Yeah.
That's it. So and this is why I love your technique, is because you're taking people through baby steps to experience it. So they actually get to believe. Now I'm getting chills saying that. They get to believe. It's a very powerful thing you're doing. They get to experience the belief. Like they get those wins is what the way you put it is.
Yeah.
Wins. So they're building that belief structure of it is possible. Because if you don't experience it, you can't believe it.
Yeah. That's it exactly.
Yeah. It is. I think it's amazing what you're doing. Okay, you guys, I think we're going to wrap this up. We've really covered a lot today. This is Jennifer Skomski, and this amazing, absolutely a beautiful woman, and she is taking on new clients, and she is an absolute rock star. If you want to get in touch with her, PM you, like, how do you want them to reach out to you? Motive?
PM works. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So I guess I could put a link to do you have a Facebook group or anything like that?
I do. I have a Facebook group, website, you name it. I got it, girl.
Okay. So I am airing this on a podcast as well. So if they're listening to the podcast, How do they get a hold of you?
You would go to millionistamama.com.
Okay. Can you spell that?
millionista, mama,
Okay.
MOMMA.com.
Okay.
And there's a link to contact me there. My email's on there. I am also, you can find me on Facebook as well. I've got a business page, Millionista Mama Money Mindset. So you can
Okay.
find me there. Instagram, Millionista Mama. I'm Millionista
Okay.
Mama everywhere you name
Melanisa.
it.
Okay. 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 So spell that one more time just in case.
MillionIstaMomma.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you guys have that, and if you want to get into contact with her, you can just probably even Google that, and probably a lot of stuff will come up. But Instagram, Facebook, um, what did you say?
Website.
Instagram, Facebook, everything. What? Twitter, LinkedIn, all those things, I guess. Anyway, so if you want to get in contact with her, her name is Jennifer Skomski. That's JenniferSkomski. So I've really enjoyed having this conversation with you.
Me
And
too.
I mean,
Thank
like I
you.
said, my heart just swells over watching you turn into this powerful, amazing, beautiful woman, and you're just gonna be really making a dent on changing the world. I mean, I'm just so happy for you. I'm so proud of
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank
You're
you.
so awesome. You're so awesome. All right. So hopefully we're going to be seeing you creating some podcasts of your own. I'm
Absolutely.
excited about that. So maybe I can have you as a guest on again. And once you get that rolling, and so that people can see that podcast. Okay.
Awesome. I would love it.
This has been absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for joining us on this, joining me. Okay, hold on one second, okay?
All right.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. I really appreciated this time that you enjoying joining me in this wonderful experience with Jennifer, where she co-hosted with me and talking about money mindset. I mean, this is a big deal. This is the turning point of which way things can go, for you. And so take a moment to kind of reflect on some of the things we said. Take a moment to maybe even replay it. Really listen to some of the things, listen to some of those key things that you learned from this, and reach out to us. We're here to help you. We're here to serve you. We're here to help you grow as an individual. And you do deserve all that success in the world. This is Michelle Thompson with